A lot of people in their 20s think investing is complicated because social media makes it look complicated. Apparently, you need to perfectly time the market, pick the next huge stock, buy crypto before everyone else, or somehow become a millionaire overnight. But honestly, one of the most effective investing strategies is also one of the simplest, and it is called dollar cost averaging. Or DCA. Dollar cost averaging is basically when you invest a fixed amount of money consistently no matter what the market is doing. So instead of trying to predict when prices will go up or down, you just keep investing regularly over time. That could be every week, every fortnight, or every month. The whole idea is consistency. For example, if I invest $400 every fortnight into ETFs, I keep doing it whether the market is crashing, booming, or going sideways. Some weeks I buy when prices are high, and some weeks I buy when prices are low. But over time, it averages out and removes a lot of the emotion from investing. And honestly, I think that is one of the biggest advantages of DCA because most people are terrible at timing the market. People panic when prices fall, they get greedy when prices rise, and they usually end up buying emotionally instead of logically. Dollar cost averaging removes that pressure because you are focused on consistency instead of trying to predict the future. I think this strategy is especially powerful in your 20s because time is one of the biggest advantages you have. Most people underestimate how valuable time actually is when it comes to investing. Even smaller amounts invested consistently over 10, 20, or 30 years can become something massive because of compound growth. Compound growth is basically when your investments start generating returns, and then those returns start generating their own returns over time. It is like a snowball rolling downhill. At the start, it feels small and slow, but eventually it grows larger and larger simply because you stayed consistent long enough. That is why starting early matters so much. A person investing smaller amounts from 20 years old will often end up with more money long-term than someone who starts later with larger amounts. Time matters more than people realize. I also think DCA works well for younger people because it is realistic. Most people in their 20s are not earning huge incomes yet. You are probably paying rent, fuel, food, subscriptions, gym memberships, maybe saving for a car or a house, and still trying to enjoy your life as well. You do not need thousands of dollars to start investing. Even $50, $100, or a few $100s invested consistently can build strong habits and create momentum. That momentum is important because the hardest part of investing is usually not the investing itself, it is building the habit. Once investing becomes automatic and part of your normal routine, it becomes much easier to stay consistent long term. Another reason I like DCA is because it reduces stress. I do not need to wake up every morning checking stock charts and worrying about whether the market is green or red. I do not need to pretend I am some professional trader sitting in front of 6 monitors trying to predict the next market move. I can simply invest consistently, focus on increasing my income over time, and let long-term growth hopefully do the heavy lifting in the background. Personally, I mainly use dollar cost averaging with ETFs because I think they are one of the easiest and safest ways for normal people to build wealth long-term. ETFs basically allow you to invest in hundreds of companies at once instead of trying to gamble on individual stocks. So instead of stressing about whether one company succeeds or fails, you are spreading your investments across entire markets. For example, some ETFs give exposure to Australian companies while others give exposure to large global businesses like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google. That means even with smaller amounts invested consistently, you are slowly building ownership in some of the biggest companies in the world. Now, obviously, DCA does not guarantee you become rich overnight because honestly, nothing does. This is not some magic shortcut. Building wealth usually takes years of consistency, patience, discipline, and avoiding stupid financial decisions. But I think that is actually a good thing because realistic investing should probably look a little boring. Most people lose money chasing excitement. They jump into random hype investments, try to double their money quickly, panic during crashes, and constantly switch strategies. Meanwhile, the people quietly investing consistently for years are usually the ones building real long-term wealth. I also think DCA is powerful because it helps remove excuses. A lot of people say they will start investing once they earn more money, but usually when people earn more money, they also spend more money. New car, more subscriptions, finance payments, expensive clothes. Takeaway all the time, nights out every weekend, and suddenly they are earning more but still investing nothing. Starting now, even with smaller amounts, is usually far better than waiting for some perfect future moment that may never come. The perfect time rarely exists. There will always be market crashes, bad news, uncertainty, and unexpected expenses. That is just part of life and part of investing. The goal is not perfection. The goal is consistency. So if you are in your 20s and you want to start building wealth, dollar cost averaging is probably one of the easiest places to begin. Pick a realistic amount you can afford consistently, invest regularly, stay patient, and focus on the long term instead of short term noise. Because realistically, most wealth is not built from one lucky investment. It is usually built slowly through good habits repeated over and over again for years. And honestly, that is why I think every 20-year-old should at least understand what DCA is. Because even though it sounds simple, it can completely change your financial future if you stick with it long enough.